On a lighter note now, there's a hot new film in town that we thought you might like to know more about. Joe Averill talks with actress Louise Fletcher.
We really have a treat for you tonight because we have a bold woman who's an artist who wants to be a guest on this show, but wants it on terms that are acceptable to artists. I think more should demand. Her demand was that I see the movie about which we will speak, which I did this morning. The title is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which has been kind of a cult play in this country for a number of years, and now it's been committed to film with Jack Nicholson and our guest tonight, Louise Fletcher. Welcome to Montage.
Thank you very much.
We have almost talked ourselves out off camera, talking about the movie and what it's supposed to say and what it doesn't say. Louise, I'll give you the option of telling the audience who has perhaps not seen the play or in the movie what it is about.
It's it takes place in a state mental institution anywhere in this country. Yeah. And the main character is Randall P. McMurphy, is played by Jack Nicholson. And he is a prisoner at a work farm, having been sent there for statutory rape. And he has 60 days left to serve on his term, and he decides he'd rather spend it in a much more comfortable place, maybe a mental institution. And he wangles his way in there by maybe acting a little crazy, so they send him over for tests. And his bad luck brings him into a ward run by Nurse Ratched, Big Nurse, as she's referred to in the book, but not so much in the movie, or at all in the movie, really. Yeah. And that's the part I play. And here's a lady who runs everything by the book, and that is her credo.
Now, the movie seems to me, and I'm going to be very simplistic, but seems to be a statement, as Ken Kesey originally wrote it, about our authoritarian way of life, perhaps not just in this country, but in the world. And we were talking about the allegory or the hidden meaning or whatever you would describe an allegory meaning. You said you didn't think that the director made the movie that way. What do you mean?
Well, it's my impression, and after conversations with him after the fact, Milos doesn't talk much on the set. He never discusses your character with you or what anything means or, what the scene means. He wants you to surprise him. He wants the scene to surprise him. He wants spontaneity. And obviously this is a very, very strong story that has been told a million times before in the Bible, if you will, or in a million different parables and fables about a man who comes into a place that is where there are oppressed people and lifts them up and gives his life so that they can be free. Or, you could go on and get very flowery about it. But Milos simply wanted to tell the story in the basic outline as it was in the book. And in the book and the play, if you remember, it's told from the Indian chief's point of view. And he's a schizophrenic, so that everyone is rather distorted. For instance, the big nurse had rivets on her body and smoke coming out of her ears, and she walked and she talked like a robot. Well, Milos, whom I would describe as a student of human nature, he loves to get the camera right in your face and watch you respond to something for the first time. He was not about to load up the situation with a voice-over, and he simply wanted to tell the story because I think he thought the story was powerful enough as it was.
Well, now, what statement did you want to make? I hate that question. It's such a show business question, but it's a fair question, I think.
I never thought while we were working that I was making a statement. But now that I've seen the film, I think that I could make some observations about myself as Nurse Ratched. I think that if I had to give a name to the age we're living in, I would say we're living in the age of awareness, where we have these, in-depth crash weekends where people come together in therapy and Werner Erhard and Est and all of that. I think it's important that we get in touch with our feelings and know what we're feeling. I'm not by any means plugging Est. It's a thing I don't believe in. But I think that Nurse Ratched is a woman who never could translate a real feeling into a real feeling. I mean, if she was feeling afraid, she would translate it into, I'm angry. She would never, if she were sexually attracted to McMurphy, she would not say, I'm sexually attracted to this man. She would say, isn't he terrible? It's always a projection, you know.
Louise, if you had done this movie and it ended up in what you thought it was a turkey, would you still go out and promote it? Or would you have the option to do that? Could you be honest enough and say, I don't want to have anything to do with this?
Oh, wow, I don't know.
It could happen, couldn't it?
It could happen. I never thought of that. Yeah. I guess, to be perfectly honest, if I'd have to say that this picture was produced by two men who I've grown to love very much. Saul Zaentz, who financed the picture on his own, put up the money himself.
Really? Now that's a rarity.
And Michael Douglas, whom you know from television, this is his first picture that he produced, and they both did an absolutely wonderful job. And Milos, who did a terrific job. But if they had ended up with a bad picture, but I still felt about them the way I feel about them now, I guess I would, as a sort of personal, you know,
I'm sorry our time is expiring, but the movie is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's, I guess, a provocative movie, and there are a lot of provocative movies around, but perhaps this is one of the more thought-provoking that you can see, and it's well worth seeing. Louise Fletcher, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For being with us. Remember, now you saw Big Nurse first on Montage. We'll be right back.